The belief that dreams could mean something significant is pretty ancient and universal. After all, our dream is an interesting world of its own where our hidden memories, desires, paranoias are let loose beyond our usual logic and sense of reality. In Korea, the general concept that dreams could predict the future is still very much prevalent. Most people won't take it seriously, but even the hardcore skeptics would know what kind of dreams are regarded as a conception dream and what kind of dreams are considered lucky, such as seeing a pig or feces are lucky, or seeing a dog in the dream means it is an insignificant dream. There is a whole lexicon of what kind of situation and which object mean what in the dream, which is called 해몽, literally meaning interpretation of dreams. But sometimes, some dreams seem to predict the future in much more direct fashion beyond those traditionally perceived symbolisms. Today we are taking a look at the stories about dreams predicting or forewarning the future, the imminent death around you, or accidents to come. 5 allegedly true stories from Korea about dreams that foretold the future. As always, handpicked, translated and narrated by your host, Anthony. A friend of mine told me the story. She was going somewhere with her mom, and mom was driving. Friend dozed off on the way and had a dream in which a man in black suit was chasing after their car. The man caught up with them in inhuman speed, and the man's face looking through the passenger window of the running car startled her up from her sleep. And she found her mother dozing behind the wheel. My friend could alert her mom up before anything could happen. But terrible things could have happened had it not for that nightmare. It's from when I and my wife were dating. We were a very poor couple. We could not afford the usual dining outs or going to cinemas, etc. We just sat in a park to read a book together or shared a bento box from the convenient store. One day I saw a news report about a case of insurance fraud, a man faking a car accident for a payout. I just casually thought to myself, I would also rather like to get hit by a car or something. So long it's not fatal or leaving me crippled, I should be able then to take my girlfriend out to a fancy dinner or something with the insurance payout. That night, I had a dream. My girlfriend was bit by a giant snake, and I drove a SUV car over the snake to kill it. Girlfriend was taken to the hospital, and I kept her side telling her everything should be fine, to which she assured that she was feeling okay. A doctor came over and asked me to whom I was talking. I answered it was my girlfriend. The doctor then asked, "The one next to you?" "Yes, I'm trying to calm her down," I said. "But she's already dead," doctor said. I turned to look at her again, to find her all blue and bloated and dead. At which point I woke up. Following day, I told the girlfriend about the dream, and we were walking towards the bus stop when a SUV car hit us. In that split seconds of seeing the car rushing towards us, I thought of the dream I had the previous night, and that my girlfriend would indeed die if I didn't do something. I managed to pull her back and cover her with my body. Fortunately, we got only minor injuries. So, As I naively wished, we were paid the insurance money. But I had my lesson that I should never, not even half-heartedly, wish for such a thing again. My family lives with my grandma. One morning, she insisted my dad go visit his hometown. It was normal working day, and he tried to persuade Granny that he would go coming weekend, but Grandma was absolutely adamant that he must go that day. So I joined Dad to his hometown in Gangwon-do, which was a good few-hour journey. Upon arrival, his former neighbors informed us that one of his relatives had fainted and just sent to hospital. But how did he know it that he could come over already, they wondered. When we went to the hospital, the relative seemed recovered enough other than feeling a bit breathless. Dad stayed into the late night catching up with his old neighbors and friends, and we came back home early next morning. Grandma asked if everything was fine at the hometown. Because Grandma was well over 90, my dad usually avoided talking about death and illness, so he evaded a clear answer. But Grandma said quite out of blue, "Hasn't nobody died?" So I intervened, "No, Granny, no one died. We just met the relatives and neighbors." Then Grandma said to herself, "How funny. I definitely saw it in my dream." We just thought it a happening. But about an hour later, Dad told me that I should take care of Grandma because he had to go back to his hometown. The hospitalized relative had just passed. Granny's dream was right, after all. This happened about 3 months ago. I had a bit of a wild night together with 4 friends whom I had known from middle school days. After drinking silly into the late night, we were about to call it a day. One friend who lived in the same direction to my place said he was sick, needed to throw up and so on. In the end, I decided to stay with him till he should feel settled down, while the other 3 friends headed their way back home. By the time the friend felt a bit better, it was well past the last metro train, so we decided to crash at a nearby internet cafe. My friend dozed off as soon as he sat down, and I too, not long after, decided to catch some sleep. And I had a dream. One of the 3 friends who headed off before us was in a taxi heading to his home, and behind it was a black car following. As soon as he got off the taxi, guys jumped out of the black car, abducted him into the car, and drove off. I woke up startled. The friend who was sleeping next to my seat was also up, panting hard as if woken up from a nightmare. We looked at each other and didn't need to explain much else. We sent a message to the friend we both saw in the dream. No answer. We called him repeatedly, and fortunately he finally picked it up. He was still in the taxi and was dozing and had missed our messages and first few calls. I, without explaining in detail, told him to check behind if a black car wasn't following his taxi. Indeed, a black sedan was behind. I told him that I wasn't kidding and he must run as soon as he got off the taxi towards anywhere safer he could find. The next day, he called me and reported that when he got off the taxi, 2 burly men from black car chased him after. Fortunately, he could escape to a convenient store nearby. Only then could I tell him the whole story, how I and the other friend had exactly the same dream about him getting kidnapped. The whole thing is still a mystery for me. But thank God we could save him before too late. From my childhood, I've had dreams that predicted what was to come, though the sense got a bit duller over the years. Nowadays I realize I dreamed about it months before only when the prophecy comes true. There are countless accounts over the years, but here I'd just mention a few. Back in my high school days, I dreamed of a man hit by a car. It was so vivid that it was almost traumatizing. And that same day, on the way back from school, I saw that very man passing by me. I stopped him and took my time to ask all sorts of questions, from what time it was, if he could tell me the direction to where I could catch that bus, and so on. Only after the car that in my dream had hit the man passed by us, I let him go. That night, on my way back from the cram school, I was hit by a car. Fortunately, I wasn't injured seriously, but I got another dream that night. I couldn't move, like I was suffering a sleep paralysis, and could just hear somebody saying,
"You shouldn't have."
I didn't realize what that was supposed to mean, though. A few days later, I once again prevented an accident that I foresaw in my dream. 7 days later, I was hit by a car once again, exactly at the spot where the accident in my dream had taken place. The bicycle I was riding on was hit from behind, and I was thrown off. As I flew over, in that short moment, I saw a face of a man. Though there were, it turned out, only women around, including the driver who hit me. That night, I had a sleep paralysis once again. But this time, that thing took a bit more of a form.
"I'm gonna kill you if you dare to be in the way one more time,"
he said. I tried to keep myself low a while, but when I repeatedly had same dream that predicted an accident to my classmate, I couldn't just keep quiet anymore. So I rather vaguely suggested to her that if she had a plan to visit so-and-so place, she'd better not. I managed to persuade her, and a few days later heard she was spared from accident, which indeed happened in the event that she had wanted to attend. Something frightening then happened to me. Have you ever gone through a day's worth of life in a dream? One Saturday, not long after the incident, I fell asleep at 10 p.m. and woke up 2 p.m. the next day. And in those 6 hours, I lived through 7 days in the dream. The whole thing in the dream was so vivid and real, from the drop of water rolling down the glass of cold drink to the texture of my friend's skin. I don't dare to explain details of what I experienced in the dream, but it was hellish, and I wouldn't want to experience it ever again. At the end of 7 days' worth of nightmare, that thing appeared again and asked me,
"How do you like it?"
I wanted to swear at it all I could, but my voice was stuck. That thing smirked at me and said one last thing before going away.
It's not over yet.
When I got up, I went to toilet. When I got out of the toilet, it linked to another toilet. I was still in the dream. I woke up again. I got out of my room to look for my parents. The house was empty and none of the lights would come on. I realized I was still in the dream. I woke up again with a feeling on falling down an endless pit. It was daytime, the sun was bright. I found my family and relatives gathered in the living room, chatting and laughing. But none gave a look at me. Apparently nobody could see me there. I was still in the dream. The loop continued at least 20 or more times. I'm glad I haven't gone mad after the experience. But I don't dare to talk about my dreams anymore. Hi, it's Anthony here, and thank you very much for your listening. Typically, I'm not very spiritually sensitive, and even such vivid dreams that I thought they should mean something turned out eventually nothing. I guess the only time a dream turned out anything was when I saw a dirty toilet. As I mentioned in the intro, we understand physics in dreams mean lucky. So I bought a lottery ticket and won some $50 worth of money. I mean, I shan't complain, a prize is a prize, but I guess that was about the lot of my luck. Have you ever had any significant dreams? Do let us know in the comment. If you enjoyed my video, please consider giving me a thumbs up, leaving me a comment, subscribing to my channel, and sharing it with others. Also, if you missed my previous episodes, do check them out at your leisure. It's already been 6 months since I started the channel, and the library is building up quickly. Until the next week, stay safe and take care.